Yeah, all right.
That's
a positive start. It's important we give a professional discussion.
Good evening, welcome to this Estates Management Committee meeting. The first item on our agenda is representation from interested parties. We have none. So we'll carry on. Apologies for absences. Councillor Dubois has recently had a child, so I wish her congratulations, and she is not with us this evening. Hopefully she is going soon with a child. Not yet. You know what I mean, yeah.
Distract on the way.
Declarations of interest. Any declarations of peculiar interest or other interests to declare from anyone? No.
Don't think so.
I have. There's a cop thing.
There is.
There's a cop.
Oh, yeah.
CCTV in the cop. So yeah, that's me.
Don't think so.
Val, nothing?
No.
No, okay.
Okay, cool.
Councillor Shura, even though you're not.
I've got nothing to declare one way or the other.
Okay. We did representative interest parties, no. Minutes from the previous meeting. Are we happy to accept that they are a accurate representation of our last meeting, which was that November?
Yeah.
Yes.
Only you and I were there.
Yes.
I think it was.
I mean,
That's been literally talked.
yeah, they were fine to me. You in?
I'm fine with that. I'll
Yeah.
have you propose that we.
Yeah. I will second them. So we'll vote.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Sign them. And okay. Reports. Our next item. To receive reports from Andal Town Council's Properties and Open Spaces, monthly Properties Open Spaces Update Report, Action Plan and Progress Update. Is there anything in any of those that we'd like to talk about? Anyone? Guess we'll start with Ian. Anything?
Just having a quick look down. Some of this comes up on the agenda, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does get a bit repetitive actually doing those bits because it's quite often rolled over, isn't it, to the next one?
Oh, the interpretation board.
Yeah.
They've been digging a hole today.
Have they?
Digging through the frozen ground.
Wow.
Did they go down there?
No, I was suggesting today's not a good day for it.
No, I think they're waiting till we have a bit of a thaw.
So
I said to them, as long as it's in situ in early spring and in time for the cows to come back, that'd be fine.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where is the workshop exactly?
That's a good question. I didn't know that until we get involved. 3rd of January.
3rd of January.
So it is, do you know where? What's the name? Andal Carpet. You know
It's
the
like
Waitrose?
East Road,
Yeah.
they're in the roads there.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know the name of the road, but I'm sorry.
East Road, Waitrose,
Yeah,
Yes.
it's off.
it's sort of next to Waitrose.
Yes, it's called Waitrose. There's a little
Industrial.
industrial estate, so very small industrial
Cheese
estate.
preps
Yeah,
on one
yeah.
corner.
Eastwood
Same
Road.
side as East Road,
It's, near
Eastwood
Waitrose.
Road Estate,
Huge
yeah.
opposite Tri-City
Yeah.
down there.
yeah, the Indian takeaways, and
Oh,
like that.
I've been to Q-Prep many a time.
It's
There's
one,
Dead
of
opposite.
those buildings there. One of those-
Dead opposite Q Crap.
Edison Interest and Goldsmiths.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because they must be near neighbours, surely.
Very near it is.
Yeah.
They're right on.
Behind, yeah.
You probably get a view of one from the other. In a sort of rustic way.
Okay,
So the car park thing comes up.
yeah, I was gonna, yeah, that comes up later,
And the CCTV camera comes up.
yeah. Yeah, true. We can always come back to this, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay, right, let's progress then. So, the rugby club, there is nothing to report last week, right? So we'll move on. Fletton House. Now a few times, I think it was last time, must have been last time, we discussed, was it last time we were early? We had the early.
6
meeting?
o'clock on
Yeah.
November, yeah.
So that worked quite well for, I would say, those people who attended. So, Val and potentially Councillor Shearer, we had the meeting at
6
six.
or 6:30. What does it say on the minutes? I
It's
can't
like-
remember, sorry
it's
Jamie.
Point. 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than 7 o'clock, and that worked quite well. Is there anyone who disagrees with that? We're changing the time of the estates meeting to 6 o'clock.
It was particularly advantageous to Red.
What day of the week is it?
It will be Tuesday.
Still Tuesday.
No,
So
that's
same-
all right.
Same Tuesday of the month, but 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
That's particularly Red's case, it's helpful.
Has
But if you-
councillor Shearer had a printout of when all the meetings are?
I assume Emma's probably given you them, has
Pointed
she?
into the website.
Yeah.
I can give him a printout though. I mean, it suits the current estates committee.
Yes.
So if other people come on board, you
Yeah,
obviously can
that's the way to-
revisit it, but the current people that are on the estates are happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then it goes to full council and Emma can
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
and change their standing
That's fine.
orders, yeah?
Can I just throw one possible spanner into the works? I've seen some emails today, and the Business Association are keen to have this meet the council meeting now at a different night from the 31st.
Right.
One suggestion was to do it before our next estates meeting, because some of us will already be here. I don't know if they're going to say that's possible or not.
Is that a one-off
That will be a
meeting?
one-off.
So why don't you
28th February, so it could be we agree
put
with
that you
it.
start it in either the new financial
February,
year or,
March,
yeah,
March.
so keep it the same until that's out of the way and
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Just in case they go for that, because
Yeah.
it would be silly to.
well, you'd have to be meeting at 5 o'clock then, wouldn't you, if you've already changed the time, so. Yeah. Okay, so can I have a proposer, so if we
I'll
say,
propose it.
yeah, Ian,
I'll second it.
all in
All
favour?
in favour?
Okay.
They're in favour, Max?
He's not on the committee.
He's not on the
Take-
committee
I don't
yet.
take that, can I? No.
He's here to visit, because his name wasn't on the agenda last week, we couldn't propose him.
No.
The joy of
So
silence.
I'm non-voting, but
He's in the audience, in effect.
yeah, essentially I'm a member of the public.
He is, he's coming to Martha's.
Right, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There'd been
Um,
a further development, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so that's good, that's what that. Next item on the agenda is the hub, and it says nothing to report. Is everything going well there, Lisa?
Yes, it's busy.
More active, well?
It's busy. There's no more update than last time, really. That's why I put nothing to report. It's busy. We've got the Ukrainian group. There's lots of other groups coming. Still lots of ideas flowing as well. Speaking to Morag today about the what was the police room, which is now the Northants Council room, which is not being used. We were talking about we really need to make decisions, and we need a decision from Northants Council because that's a room that interest has been shown in, and it's just not doing anything.
They've installed their IT staff.
They have, and they came and got it all
I
checked.
was going to say, on this, I remember when we did this, they're still paying for that.
Yeah. And they after the pandemic, they got their IT people in to check it was all okay. So we were expecting them back, but then nothing happened. And I don't think Emma's heard anything. So I think we should really be pushing to find out what they want to do with it, because again, it's another space that we could be using for something else.
Yeah.
You know, even though they're paying for it, at the end of the day, it's wasting their money and it's
Well, yeah.
taking up valuable space for us. So
Yes.
So that's probably something that will appear on full council at some point.
Just on that, I just walked in and saw the notice downstairs with all the various things coming up the next few days.
Lots of stuff, yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
that was good, yeah.
The building feels, it's still obviously a shame that the cafe isn't going, because that always added another dimension to how the building felt. But it's definitely felt better since Morag's been getting all these bits and pieces going and these groups going, definitely. It feels like a community hub again, which is good, which is what
What
we
was
want.
the original thinking?
Youth club thing or not? I think I asked last week.
I think Morag's had a couple of meetings with one of the ladies. There's still no definite date as such, but it's still on the cards. They're still just, I think, trying to finalise various details with it. One of the ladies that she's met with was here a couple of weeks ago, and they were trying to thrash out some last bits and pieces. So hopefully news of that will be imminent.
Okay, all right, next item, QBH. Update to report, so.
Leaking taps.
Yeah, that's about the only issue we've got at the minute. And I've had it in my diary yesterday and today to go down there to take pictures to sort out what I need to do. But things conspired against me and I haven't got down there. So hopefully tomorrow, after we've met and done our little tour, I shall be able to go and get some things sorted out there. But just minor problems, really. There's nothing major at the moment.
Can I ask a question? I don't know, obviously, what use QBH is getting at the moment during this particularly cold spell, but are we heating it? We could, okay.
Yeah, the heating stays on pretty much all the way through the year. Well, not through the year, but
It's I think it's got some.
There's a leaking tap, so it might be leaking a bit more if the
no,
pipes.
so it's
We've had a few issues with the heating just lately. I can't remember. Somebody came in, GNS came in on Sunday and they said it wasn't on. So it's got a timer, but it's also on a temperature sensor.
Yeah,
so if it's not cold enough, it won't come on. But for some reason, it didn't come on on Sunday for GNS. So no, it's not. It's not.
So the easiest to heat for that reason. But no, so it's heated throughout the winter. Do we have sort of a set time when we start turning it off, the temperature gets to a certain level?
You'd have to ask Nobby that, I think.
It's all thermostat control.
Yeah, I think so. And then you've got the extra fan heaters in the main part. I think the main heating is either thermostat or on timer. I think Nobby said you can time it as well. But then you've got the extra, is it 3 fan heaters inside the main hall that you can click on? And that's activated by people that are using the building, basically.
No, that's fine. I was just concerned that the pipes might leak out more than the taps.
Well, touch wood, not yet.
Okay, that's good, okay. Courthouse, right, to discuss the new tenant and approve tenancy. So, as we were discussing, seems quite clean, nice. What are our thoughts on this, Danny?
Better to have a tenant than not have a tenant.
Well, we're on the courthouse.
We
Yeah.
are. Courthouse on the office question.
Right.
Sorry, who is the new,
It's a sort of van hire overseer or something.
was that with the papers?
No, it came as an extra one.
Okay.
He's like a broker. So because that was my first question to him, I said, we have very limited parking. If you're a hire company, you cannot. He said, no, I'm just the broker. I put people in touch with the main people. So he said, there's never any vehicles, there's never any clients on site or anything. So it'll just be him basically using the office. And it is mainly because obviously his office in Corby, or it might be his home that he works from in Corby, he's travelling to Oundle 6 days a week to drop his children off. So rather than being at work, he's on the road. So he thinks if he's here, which is exactly the same scenario as the last two tenants that we let 2 rooms to, they're the same, they've got children here. So
Yeah, okay.
Seems good. And then
Yeah, it
presumably
does, yeah.
the lease is for a year, 6 months?
we do 3 years, but they've got a break clause after 1. That's the standard lease.
Cool. And they take on the lease cost, so it's
Yep.
good coming.
Well, who else can do it then?
Absolutely. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So can I have a proposer and
I'll
seconder?
propose it.
Ian, yeah.
Seconded?
Oh, thank you.
All those in favour?
Job done.
Thank you.
Okay, Swift boxes at the courthouse. Now, if I remember rightly, we talked about this and we spoke to the church. Is that right?
No, I spoke to the conservation officer
Right.
because I looked online to see whether the church had applied for this
That's-
building consent and they hadn't. And you do need to. So if we want to go ahead with this, it's fine. It's not a hard process. We just apply for listed building consent. And hopefully it'll be granted and then, but obviously it's a cost for us. The gentleman that suggested it is happy to be involved in an advisory capacity. But obviously it's a cost that
Yeah.
we would then have to look after them.
Any rough
Why
idea?
do we
what-
need boxes when we've got a whole tower and spiral and heaven knows what else?
I think it's,
Because
I suppose,
it's
to discourage them from nesting where they shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I'm not against that, I just
No.
wondered what the advantage
I
was.
think the other problem is that we're now into blocking. So we block
Yeah.
everything, seal everything.
Yeah.
and so
They
the
can't
Swift
get in.
Oh, I see.
So therefore the
So
Swifts
it's an
come over.
alternative
They come over
residence.
and they go, ready to make a home,
Yeah.
they can't find a home.
Mm.
because they
It's been blocked up.
die. What would the cost be, Planning? We're talking £100 and something pounds?
No, we don't pay. We
Oh,
don't have to pay. It's free of charge to us as a council. So any planning that we apply for, yeah. So there's no other than the actual box, which I can't remember what it was. It's in that link. The rough cost. Was it 270-ish or something? Something. It's not extortionate. So that would be, and obviously, if our maintenance guys can install them, which I should imagine they'd be able to. I think they're fairly easy to install, so it's fairly minimal cost for us.
Okay, nice.
Sounds good. Right, so I'm happy to propose that we
Yeah,
go
Yeah.
ahead and try and get planning.
Okay.
I'll second that. All in favour? Excellent.
Lovely. Go Swifts.
Nice and easy, yeah. Car parks, yeah.
We're back to this again.
This is on the report.
Yes.
So I don't know whether you I don't know whether you remember, we've had, might even be the same lady, but almost identical complaints from people that just say they cannot get parked when they're dropping the children off to school, because it's just rammed with Fairline people. And they're obviously parking there because they don't want the issues of the 605 each night. And I think, I don't know whether you remember when Tony Robinson was here and he was mayor, he was in discussions, I can't remember the chap that it was with, and they got all sorts of plans and there was all sorts of things discussed, but then obviously nothing ever came of it, and we're still back in the situation with nobody being able to park because all of the Fairline workers are parked in there, so.
I've got to throw 2 points in. So the first point is, we don't have anything, it's a long-term car park, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're parking long-term, and there's nothing there saying that it can't be used by workers from the town. So I imagine if we're going to say we don't want Fairline in there, there's got to be.
We've said it.
We've said it.
Yeah, no, but there's no rules or regulations on the car
No.
park, so-
Yeah, right, yeah.
So they're not doing anything wrong at the moment as it stands, they're parking long term. The other thing is that when I went down to Fairline in July or whatever it was, and met the boss, their big fun day thing, which was very nice, I had no idea the scale of Fairline. It was 600 employees, which is massive, but the majority don't come from Oundle.
Right.
So all their car parks are filled by people coming in from Rawls and Wellingborough, etc., on the 605 side. So I suspect it's probably quite a large problem for them on this side. I'm happy to try and make contact with him again and raise this, because I think he was relatively new to the job when Tony spoke to his
Might have been,
predecessor. And I think we could raise it again and see what's what, if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, what are the options, I guess, long term? Do we say, okay, you can use that, but subsidised in some way?
I think we've got to be firmer, because whenever they've wanted to put more structures up on their site, it's always been pointed out to them that we would only approve it if there was adequate parking to go with it. I mean, that's always the way.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we should change our tack, in my view, because not being able to use our long-term car park affects our traders.
Car parking is, as long as I've been able to know, but it's a massive issue now. I don't think it's going anywhere. So, but is this? I guess what I'm trying to say is this part of a broader conversation about car parks generally in Oundle and car parking, or is it?
Specific.
Yeah, more.
It's very specific.
I suppose it depends as well. I don't know. What would be worse is if Fairline have got adequate parking for all of the people that are parked in our car park, because then it just means they're just lazy and they won't go.
Yeah.
It's more convenient. That,
That's
to
true.
me, is a bigger issue. I mean, if they say to us, well, our car park's full, so your car park is our overspill, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
But if half of their car park is empty and ours is full, then they've got to address that, because
Okay.
they've got a car park.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
so-
I don't know what that
It's a good
is. I
way
don't
of
know.
approaching it.
Yeah, I don't know whether their car park's 50% full every day or 100%
Certainly
full.
when Tony, Peter and I went down there a couple of years ago, I can't remember if it was pre or post-COVID at whatever time,
I think it was pre, wasn't it?
their main car park was heaving,
Mm.
overflowing.
Mm.
I think they may have had more than 10, but 600 people driving in, that's a lot of cars on the small side. So
Yeah.
I suspect they'll say there's capacity issues.
But it's still their issue, though, isn't it? We shouldn't be penalised for the fact they haven't got a big
I
enough
agree.
car park.
But I think if you start, by asking the question.
Yeah.
That's something, isn't it?
But I think it's wider than a Fairline issue.
Mm.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
essentially, they have a car park. If their car park is full because they have more employees with cars than they have car parking spaces, it's no different from any other employer in town that doesn't provide adequate car parking
Yeah.
space. Where do people park when they come here to work?
All over the place now.
Well,
Mm.
that's
Absolutely.
the point.
And at some point in the next X number of years, there may be less car parking.
Yes.
Which makes it even more of an issue.
Mm.
Trying to put a more two-story house somewhere.
And you could put a limit on the car parking, but I don't think that actually solves the problem in any way. It just pushes it somewhere else.
That's one of the things we've talked about before, isn't it? We've
Yeah.
talked about either paid parking
Right.
or putting a time
I think
limit on
if we
it, but
did
then you've got to
pay-
enforce it.
Can I ask how long ago that was?
Park in their own park.
What, this complaint?
No, discussions about paid parking or generally parking in Oundle.
Well, it's come up quite a few times, hasn't it, over the past, I don't know how many years. It's
Right.
certainly since I've been here, it's been a regular feature.
Historically, East Northants, all the towns, have always tried to not have paid for parking on the basis that if they did, people wouldn't
Would
bother to
come,
park in
yeah.
a small town and pay, they would go to a big place, which of course is what happens at Rushton now, because you've got the all the stores
Yes.
there, so that's sort of killed off town shopping in those
The high
towns.
street again, isn't
So
it?
that's always been what we've tried to do, and also collecting the money wipes out you might control the parking, but it doesn't give you any profit
Mm.
by the time you've collected the money.
Well, is it
It might be better now because technology is improving.
Mm.
It's
Well, it might
something
be
we ought to look at every
West-
so often.
West Northampton just put parking meters into one of their car parks in Toaster, I think. But they're charging £12 a day to cover the costs, which is quite a lot of money.
Yeah,
There's in the transport report, there's a suggestion of putting a
Right.
number plate recognition camera
Mm.
on the co-op car park,
Okay.
but there's a 2-hour limit there.
Yeah.
So at least
yeah,
there's some enforceability, and I understand when we were talking to someone about that last year, that you say to company A, please put one of these cameras in, they put it in for free, but then every time someone stays more than 2 hours,
2 hours, yeah.
that company sends the bill.
Mhm.
Of course, that company then makes you very unpopular, but
Sure.
it's generating its profits
Mm.
should come from that. So it's a no cost benefit for us.
Mm.
But the long-term car park doesn't have a time limit on it, does it?
Mm.
no,
So you couldn't say you're over time because you could be gone over months.
I've got an idea.
Yeah.
It all depends on how many parents are trying to drop off their children at the critical hours and pick them up at the critical hours. But you could potentially create a bay in which there's limited parking between those hours, if that makes sense.
So a time, like the Milton Road 20-minute time thing.
yeah,
So you limit the time on some of the slots.
Yeah, you create effectively a bay.
Just drop off
So-
point really then.
You know, you can only park here for 30 minutes during the hours of X and Y.
Yeah.
Which would then stop the employees parking there and hopefully free the bay up.
Good thinking.
Yeah. That's
How
interesting.
do we go about putting,
Yeah.
how do we do that?
Yeah.
it's the enforcement's the difficult thing.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think,
We have
yeah.
endless plans, wonderful plans. I'm not decrying it because we've had so many over the years. It's the enforcement that's so
Yeah.
difficult.
Yes, you can put all the signs up in the world, but if you can't enforce it, then
Exactly. Then
Because signs are only really made for people that actually take any notice of them and will abide by them when they do take any notice of them. That's the problem, isn't it?
some agitated parents might enforce it.
Mind you. The
Yeah.
light forward drive.
we could have a very long discussion tonight.
Yeah. I think that's.
Would it be possible to have a shorter one and let's start with at least approaching Fairline again?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a
I've
good
got a
move.
guy who runs email from one of my conversations with him in the summer, so I'm happy to make contact, try and make, have a meeting with him, and maybe get someone from Laxton Junior involved and just have a chat about the car parking and report back to our next meeting, see what we get, if that's
Yeah.
amenable
Yeah.
to everyone.
Yes, please.
Cool.
Okay. Excellent. Public toilets. To report.
Smart meter was fitted last week.
Something I've noticed is, I think, the gentleman's,
He's leaking.
right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I took somebody down there today to have a look at it, and we looked at the pipe work at the back. I think something's come loose at the back, so I'm on it. Literally.
I hope not, it's a gents.
Yeah.
Lisa's not.
Well, I keep.
suggesting-
I just think what people must think. I mean, hopefully everyone knows I work for the council, because the amount of times I'm seen coming out the gentlemen's toilets is.
We have had people come into the co-op and say,
She goes there quite regularly.
It's all right, Lisa. I do always shout hello before I go in there, though. But yeah, we're, I've ordered. In fact, they've come really quickly because the toilet roll dispenser that we fitted in November in the gents' toilets, I didn't order it. I suggested we get the metal ones, but somebody had ordered a plastic one. That's been broken. So I've now got two metal ones to replace the ones that have been broken. So hopefully they'll last a little bit longer. Yeah, and hopefully this week I'll get somebody in to have a proper look at the.
another question I have is the lights, are they on permanently? Are they on at time?
No, it should be sensors. They're new ones. We've just had them fitted,
Okay.
so they should be on sensors. I noticed when I came by the other day, the gents one wasn't on, so I
Yeah.
thought that's good because it means nobody's been in there.
I think there might be something up with that, because I think one of them's on,
Is it?
and it's
Is
not meant to be.
Which
or
one,
one's off.
ladies?
Yeah,
Or
I think that one seems to be on permanently, the ladies.
the ladies?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get them to go on. It might just need adjusting or something. So.
Because I thought, is it that the gents is, is on the blink, and it's meant to be on all the time, or what?
No, because they've just been replaced. Remember, you decided, I think, in the November meeting.
Right.
Or no, you might not have done. We might have just got it done anyway because they were faulty. So they're nice and bright now. I noticed they were much brighter.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, they are supposed to be on a sensor. They're not supposed to be on all the time. So
Okay.
I'll get them to check that.
So in my 2 visits last week, they weren't on.
They weren't.
During the day, they weren't,
Oh, okay.
I think, which is.
It might just need adjusting the sensor.
Yeah, well, it's quite sunny, I think, so. Rest I'm making that up.
Okay.
Okay.
Properties and open spaces. So the rec, skate park, basketball court, rather. Discuss suggestions regarding the pathway across the rec. Councillor Park.
I come through the rec every morning on my way to work. And there's various people that say hello or don't say hello, depending on various things. And I was going through there a couple of weeks ago, and someone was coming down that path from what's not King's Road, but almost King's Road, that comes down. to
Oh,
the-
Victoria.
Yes.
Victoria Road.
They were coming through there and they were carrying shopping or something. And they said, as they went past the little bench there, why doesn't this path continue over there?
Oh, all the way down to New
Yeah.
Road.
And I went,
I don't know.
I didn't have a good reason.
No.
And I've got no idea whether that would cost £5 or £5 million to put a path of some sort in. But he thought if it was on the edge of the field, it wouldn't affect the field. But I often see kids walking through school, and I'm sure there are more kids walking to school now than there were a couple of years ago. Lots coming down Victoria Road towards primary school and vice versa.
Is there a
They had to walk across the field and get wet shoes.
is
I don't know whether
there, is there a desire line? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. A lot of people walk straight across to that gate near the basketball court, but not everyone. Some do diagonal.
Right.
But I thought at least if there was something there, plus
Yeah.
I thought you could put some of the trees that we've got, like a avenue of
Ah.
trees, even nicer.
Okay.
But I've got no idea whether what's that, 200 metres, 150 metres? Is that cheap, expensive? I've no idea.
I'd have to find out.
Why don't you get
Yeah,
a
we'd
quote?
have to think
That's why I
about,
was just wondering whether it's worth. So I said I'd raise it, and if we can find out what we're talking about, we can
Okay.
work out whether we like it or not like it, or not. I've got no idea who you go
we'll
to.
go away and think about it.
Yeah.
Well,
otherwise
I've
we
got,
wouldn't know.
That's a nice idea.
I mean,
It is, yeah.
Like, we have the circus on there, and that we might have to be very careful about where we put trees, that kind of.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, no, that's true.
That is true.
as well. But a path, even just a little path like that.
Because it is our only recreation
No, absolutely.
ground.
No,
If it went to the left, if it followed the natural route of the one that comes to the side of the play area
just straight through.
and straight down to the left-hand side of the,
I mean,
Basketball
kids on
court.
bikes, the skate park,
Yeah.
it just seems there's quite a lot of crossing traffic there, and 3 paths, but not 4. So
Okay.
okay, so if I get some quotes then.
brilliant.
Nice. Anything else there? Skate park, anything?
I think Emma's applied for a first grant.
Okay.
We wait. And let's see.
All right. Snipe Meadow, signage plan, green spaces, wildflower plan.
So yeah, the only thing on that is interpretation board arrived on the 18th. Maintenance have picked that up and have instructions to fit it as soon as possible, but in time for spring and the return of the cows would be good.
Norman.
I have emailed Craig actually a couple of weeks ago for an update just to say I'm assuming we've got some growth in the it's not a flock, it's herd, so yeah. But I've not heard back from him, but I know he's always out in the field and whatnot, so yeah, hopefully I'll hear soon. But yeah, we should have at least 4 more Normans, I think it was 4, wasn't there, that was
Nice.
pregnant, so
Oh, yes, of
Hopefully.
course. All the little baby.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
And they were all due in, they were due in December, so.
Cool, excellent. Okay, trees. To discuss and decide locations and planting schedule for new trees, potentially.
We're coming into the planting season, not today. How many do we have?
30.
30. And we came up with a couple of sites, didn't we, up on Brentworth Drive, up
St.
down in the rec
Christopher's.
area. Just finding the
Yeah.
rest.
I think we've got a couple of space. Have we got some space on St Christopher's as well? Or did we?
Yeah, I think we could do.
Yeah. Because we took a couple out, didn't we? So, just, I mean, you don't have to make any decisions obviously tonight, but start to mull it over because before we know it, we need to have them in the ground for spring, don't we?
Yeah, March, I think it's right. Is it worth, one thing we considered, I remember a few months ago saying, let's get the pack, the bundle. These all came from the Queen's Tree Green Canopy, so it's a bundle of 30. Is it worth, maybe as part of the coronation thing, offering, if anyone wants to put a tree in their garden, we can give them one?
Is it something that Fletton Field would?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, it could do, and I know they've got plans, but
I don't think we'll have a decision
gonna
by
have it.
spring, so
Yeah,
we can't really plant trees on ground that's not ours, can we?
we can't sure we'll get
No, that's
shot.
what we wanted to do.
Right in trouble. Unless we offer them to Northbourne and see if they want to plant. Technical.
What about up at the two new housing estates that we've recently acquired?
We bought them. That's a council.
No, what I mean, is there tree room to put some in around the edges or something?
Nothing our way will be done in the next couple of months, and they've already got.
Have they done plantings? Have they?
Yeah.
How big are these trees going to grow? What are they?
They're a mix of hazel, rowans, that sort of thing, not massive.
They're like small copse trees,
Yeah,
they're
we
not,
want small
yeah.
copse.
We went
So
for
they're
the
not-
smallish things, yeah.
Not overly heroic.
I was thinking of your tree line path across the road.
Yeah.
Lovely, we just need to get the path in time. Unless we still put a few in around the edge of the wreck, but we talked a long time ago about why we can't put
And
more around the
visibility.
roadside, because the visibility.
Yeah, the visibility's not good, is it? We have to keep those under control.
Well, is that a plan B for February, say, we can offer them to people if they want?
Well, they're not going to be planted between now and February.
No,
You won't get a spade in the ground at the moment.
This is true, and they're quite happy where they are, I'm sure.
yeah,
But is that
always
March,
looking after them.
April time we need to get?
So I put it on here really just so we're still mindful of it, that we haven't got to
Yeah,
start,
I think,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, the next item is the workshop. There's nothing to report there, other than we had a visit on the 3rd of January. Interesting to see. There is, I think, debate to be had about downsizing the workshop or moving it entirely.
To where?
That's the problem.
Don't know.
I think the conclusion was come to that down here wouldn't specifically work.
Was going to be
It's
tricky.
going to be very tricky.
No, it's going to be tricky, but when we get Fletton Field, as we now think we will be in some way, shape or form, there's going to be grass cutting up here. And so whether we can find space up here to put something on the edge of the field
Yeah,
Storage.
that makes no sense.
and having the whole team based here would be a good idea, if there's a room spare here or there. And if that saves us £13,000 a year, that's a triple win.
Yeah.
Could I maybe suggest between now and February, we come up with some sort of we had that plan, didn't we, down at the Rotary Club, sort of a dream thing. Have we got copies of that?
Yeah, I've got them somewhere.
If you could maybe just find out sort of the square meterage or something.
Yeah,
And I was in a porta cabin in Grantham today. Seems like a very poor quality joke or stuff.
It's
It was a porta cabin which had a waiting room and 3 toilets, bizarrely, and something else. And the footprint wasn't huge. We think there must be something out there that we could use as a satisfactory workshop, because there are lots of clever insulated portable things. we then had a storage garage for the mowers and stuff on Flat Field, and if the maintenance team had space in here, we sort of hit all three categories.
Yeah.
And we're saving money, and we're where we need to be, which is here. So with Flat Field hopefully being something that's coming our way, maybe we all come up with maybe a mood board, some ideas by February. I'm determined to find a workshop solution. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I think there is a solution. And I like the idea of the port cabin stroke unit, whatever it's called.
Just something.
Yeah.
And we do have that outside space out there, so if we can utilise it in some way.
I got not being,
The car parking thing is absolutely valid.
yeah, I got that.
But if we have access onto that bit of land, there's all sorts of extra things we can look to in the next couple of years.
Mhm.
And it could potentially pay for itself with rental savings.
Okay, all right, so that's something to think about. EV charging points, Chargy.
Oh, he did come back to me, yesterday. What day is it today? Yeah, yesterday, because I chased him again, and it's with their legal department. It's the license is being prepared. So like lots of things, when it goes to legal, it takes time to process. Yeah, so it's still. He hopes to have some news by the end of this week, if not early next week.
So Max, this was a company that we got in contact with, or they got in contact with us, and they're going to put two charging points in the car park.
In this car park.
Yeah. So it's got to be publicly accessible. They're paying for it. It's on a relatively not that cheap rate. We get a small cut of the rate, but we get paid back for our electricity. So it's an improvement. But he was very not pushing, very keen to get things going, wasn't he? We've now been waiting 6 months, give or take.
Yeah, but he did his bit and then handed
Yeah,
it
it's
over
illegal.
to his.
The joy of legal
Yeah.
stuff. Understand?
So yeah.
Before the trouble starts, will there be a maximum time people can leave their
Fisticuffs
cars?
outside Fletton
One of
House.
the conditions is it has to be publicly accessible, and I think it has to be publicly accessible 24 hours a day. But there is on their charging thing, it's one of these ones where you pay a certain amount per unit, and then you pay a certain amount more after 4 hours or something like that. So the tariff has an incentive built in. If you leave it there too long, it starts charging you a tenner or something.
Because the biggest problem, as I understand it, with charging facilities in, motor stations and the like, is the fact that people might be sitting there waiting for 3 hours to use it.
Yes, we'd have to have somewhere getting rid of.
It's a perennial problem.
We can't use it enough.
You are
The more
talking-
people, the higher the turnover, the more.
Yep. But at the moment, if you are an EV user with no private charging, you have no option in out.
Yeah.
No,
So yeah, this is an improvement. It's a problem. I've got a very tiny EV. So I've been watching this developing for the last 6 years, and yeah, it's not ideal.
And one of the reasons I don't have an EV is because I've got nowhere to charge it.
Exactly. So this would be a solution,
Yeah,
the most attractive solution, but a solution.
it's a start, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other, sorry,
No, go on.
and then the other thing is, I was thinking of overnight, but in the daytime, people might want to leave them all day as a way of parking their cars. And we're pretty pushed in the car park here, much of the time, to provide enough throughput of
Well, that's
parking,
kind of what I was
which
thinking.
is, I think, what you were saying.
Yeah, it becomes essentially a car park.
Absolutely. I think it's fraught with problems.
I think we've got to
myself.
suck it and see, as they say.
Yeah, well, like you say, if it's got a built-in thing after a certain time, you are going to be charged X amount of money.
But you have to be
So-
charging a lot of money for
Well, if it were there, I'm going to drive my car in at 7 o'clock in the morning and park it until 12 o'clock at night, we need to be paying 65p a unit, which is quite a lot. If I come between midnight and 7 a.m, it's 29p a unit.
What's that, okay, for the layman, what's that for?
My little car's got 24 units in it,
Okay,
so I'm spending 24 times 65p.
right, okay,
If I have a big car, I'm spending 3 or 4 times that much.
Right.
Plus, I probably want to go and pay those sort of rates at the fast charger sometimes. We get it done in half an hour,
got you,
which is where the queues develop.
okay, okay.
So again, there isn't, I've never found a major problem charging people park, because normally you charge because you want to go somewhere, and therefore you go somewhere. So it's not as if you're charging just to leave it because you've already got park somewhere. So it's normally the electricity that people are after.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that spends my life going to free charges around the country because I'm so stingy.
I mean, I was thinking Waitrose, you said they do advertise a penalty if you park.
It could be that that's what it's
And not be a Waitrose, but you can't slip in for a Sani and then park for 24 hours. You know, there's a time limit.
Okay, that's, all right, interesting. Okay, next is St Peter's Church, more repairs required.
Is that repairs to the wall
More repairs required on section on the boundary with vicarage, quotes received, be included in budget for next year. Is what something,
Yeah, we've
Correct.
spent up, haven't we, for
We
this year?
spent a lot of money on the wall this year, but we thought having a plan to carry on next year was sufficient.
We've done all the urgent bits, so that's the main thing.
okay.
We like the fourth bridge.
Yeah.
Okay, the cemetery,
Yeah, I'm still currently obtaining quotes, haven't had any in yet, for clearing that area at the top.